podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
Alrighty, Paul, recording late on a Thursday night. There's only two words I want to say to you, Paul. The second word is Greenwood. What a lad, what a talent this boy is.
A little bit of good news on what could safely be described as a very difficult night for us, Ed, in various different ways. But after the first half, I was thinking, why did we agree to do 2 podcasts a week during the Europa League? Because I didn't know what we were possibly going to talk about after that first half. I mean,
you've taken to writing your notes on each game. I'm going to say there weren't many in that first half. It was dire. I mean, the funniest bit for me was when Mata tried to play round the corner, sort of 1-2 with Matic, and Matic tried to sprint after it. There was nothing at all. It was slow and slower.
On the Instagram, I asked at half-time, like, is this Nemanja Matic's last ever game for Manchester United, or will he play against Colchester in the Carabao Cup next week? I suspect he may do, but I'm sure his time at the club is coming to an end, as I'm sure is Juan Mata's, although in the end, after a very difficult, very kind of what we've come to expect type performance from Mata, he turns up with 2 assists and a penalty goal in the second half.
Yeah, well, you know he's got another 2.5 years on his contract.
He's surely not going to be sticking around for 2.5 years to play 5 minutes in, like, the odd Premier League game.
Who would buy him?
Yeah, it's a great question. Has he really got 2.5 years on his contract?
Well, he signed a new 2-year contract in the summer with a one-way option for a third. So it's 1.5, strictly speaking, if the club didn't want to take it up on the third.
Which they can't see that they are going to want to.
What, have you seen United's contract negotiations in the last few years? Anyway, let's not get on downer about wasted money in the transfer market. Our new friend Omar Chowdhury from 21st Club would probably give them a few tips or hints. You know, just saying. Anyone wants to hire him.
Really enjoyed that chat, Ed. I hadn't listened to it by the time we recorded last time, but it was really absolutely fascinating, and I've spent a lot of the subsequent time thinking about individual player value in terms of adding points. And I think the best example ever is probably the sale of Philippe Coutinho from Liverpool, whereby they made a ton of money for someone who is basically going to add 0 points to their total by the end of the season.
Right. Yes, and then spent the money very well in order to get a lot more points per man. Anyway, how many points will Mason Greenwood win for United over the course of his career?
It's going to be, and that is going to be a really big number. In the first half, my only notes are, for the first 15 minutes, I hadn't made a single note in the first 15 minutes. And just AZ absolutely bossing possession and stopping United getting out of their half. And then Ashley Young did the funny thing where he tried to turn out of trouble and turned himself right bang smack into the middle of trouble in the box, and we somehow got away with it. There was one nice moment, again, like Mason Greenwood featured in that, where he cushioned down a header for Juan Mata, but Mata hit a big old swinger miles over the bar. And then another really nice bit of Greenwood deep this time, and he kind of started a counter attack. So he was just really good right from the off.
He's an all round player, and I think we've seen a lot of that in the under-18s and under-23s. I think we'd seen less of that with him in the first team. He seemed a bit within himself at times, but this was a night when, you're right, a lot of his all round game came to the fore, and he sort of took charge in some cases. The weird thing about the first half, well, it's not weird given the side that was out, but it was like the flip side of what we saw against particularly City and a little bit against Tottenham, wasn't it? When that was all about pace and about hitting a team on the counter. This time there was just no pace. I mean, Pereira, Mata, Matic in that team. They couldn't get enough of the ball because AZ are actually not a particularly good team, but they are good on the ball. They retained a lot of the ball in that first half, and United just weren't able to use any of the pace they did have, which was basically Anthony Martial. And so it was just really dull, and United were completely ineffective. At one stage, after about 35 minutes, United had made 14 passes in the attacking third, and half of those were backwards. I gave up looking after that. I was like, this is just going to be rubbish. And then it just all exploded into life out of like nothing, really, in the second half. It's
been a night for turning off things and deciding not to watch them. But fortunately, did not turn this one off at halftime. So I think everyone who has an interest in Manchester United would have wished that you could make 4 subs at half-time so he could have taken off Young, Pereira, Matic and Mata, who were the absolute key ingredients in a wonder goal immediately after the break. So the Pereira skill, the Dimitar Berbatov tribute act skill, as it's been described, absolutely unbelievable. I think he found Mata, who found the ball back to Matic, who threaded it perfectly to Mata, put a beautiful ball across the box, which went past Martial, and then somehow Ashley Young, was he trying to cross it? Was that a shot with the inside of his foot? Very sort of odd foot shape to have a shot from that angle, but what a goal. What a goal.
It was a really lovely goal and some nice skill from Pereira in the build-up there, as you said. And this is a frustrating thing about him because he's actually technically, he can be very good. He's got stuff in the locker and just has no ability to impose himself on a game of any standard at all, ever. Anyway, we had a long talk about Pereira on the Monday pod, so I guess we don't need to do that one again. But nice moment from him, good ball from Mata. The finish from Young. I mean, he celebrated that properly as well. I suppose it might be his last ever goal in the United. He doesn't score too many these days. So
maybe he meant it too. I mean, he found the space well, and it was just and that set everything on fire. And thank the good gods of football that VAR has not made its way to the Europa League, because
it was a 50-50. I don't know what you're worrying about. 50-50.
50% chance that if it was played 100 times, he might touch the ball once. Is that what you mean?
That's it. Yeah. Yes. Definitely a foul in the build-up to Mason's first goal.
In the build-up makes it sound like, maybe there was like some tussling in midfield and a bit of foul, but Garner absolutely cleared out the AZ player, who then made a perfect assist for Mason.
Yeah, and didn't Mata get the credit for that assist? Or no, he got the credit for the first one. Sorry.
Yeah, and then the final goal as well, when it was one of those ones where assist is proved to be a bad statistic. But Greenwood took his first goal. I mean, that was an absolutely brilliant finish, that first goal. And it seemed like pretty much straight from the restart, United turned the ball over high up the pitch. I think Chung was on the pitch by that point.
He was, yeah.
And contributed to the turnover there.
Yeah. And, I mean, the first goal was a classic Mason Greenwood goal. That's what he does. We've seen that so often, haven't we, in the under-23s and lower levels, and
the long ranges,
the cutting in from the right and shooting with his left. So
that was the final goal, right? Because his first goal was the one where he shot sort of from right in the middle after Garner.
Yes, sorry, I'm confused. Yeah. I'm getting myself mixed up in order of the goals. Yes, that was a good goal as well.
I mean, I loved Mason's. So he won the penalty as well that Mata took very well, actually. Well done, Juan Mata. And then he received the pass from Mata for the final goal, did the cut in. The way he used the player as a screen and found the near post, because it's Mason Greenwood, you believe he did all that on purpose.
I'm sure he did.
Finisher he is.
Yeah. I mean, look very, very much like of course, he's aiming for that near post, and he hits it with such power. And the goalkeeper's probably unsighted that he just can't get down quick enough to that ball. I think it's one of those good ones near the near post, isn't it? One of those ones in the bad zone for the keepers. It's very hard to save. So, not too much criticism of the keeper there. And frankly, who cares? At that point, it was 4-0. And after that, the kind of penny dropped, I think, with Mason, because he was doing everything he could to try and get that hat-trick.
There was one moment I wrote down that Chong, I think that's probably Chong's best performance in the United senior side. But there was one moment where he had the ball on the flank and Mason Greenwood was absolutely fuming. It was in the 87th minute, fuming that the cross didn't come in.
Yeah, well, actually, before that, Chong had made a good run to the byline and cut it back. And Mason didn't gamble. He pulled back from the penalty spot when you kind of think going across the defender would have been a better choice, and he would have had a pretty, sort of 10, 12-yard chance there. And in this kind of form, you'd think he'd stick it away. But, it's churlish to criticise him for making the wrong run there. But, I think Chong did okay, in what did he get? He got 30 minutes or so. And people have been ridiculously critical of this kid. He has got very good figures in Premier League 2. I mean, albeit in Division 2 currently, so it's not exactly a high standard. For assists and goals, and he's putting some very good performances, and everyone's very excited about him being given the chance to step up. He gets the equivalent of 2 games, and everyone wants him sold and binned off. Anyway,
people are silly, aren't they? As we know. But the bit I enjoyed most from Chong, I thought he just sort of looked more comfortable than he's done in the first team quite a lot. It's almost like he's just slightly getting used to it now. And there was one moment where Tuanzebe sort of fell over in the box, but managed to make the clearance and found Chong really deep in our own half. And I think we were 4-0 up by this point, so it wasn't a big deal or anything. But he did really well to remove the pressure on United in that period. And Brandon Williams was solid again, I thought. Although I think it's very telling that Ashley Young went off. Him and Maguire brought off when the game was won, so pretty clear it'll be Young starting against Everton.
Yeah, I mean, who knows whether that'll be the case by the time we get to sort of April or May, or whether it's just he's going to use Williams in some games and Young most of the time. Young's contract runs out in the summer, right? Tell me it runs out in the summer. Yeah, we're not going to award him another year, are we?
There's a lovely interview with Ashley Young on the official Man United podcast, and it sort of broke my heart a little bit because there's something awful about hearing how much it means to a player who probably shouldn't have played as much as he has for Man United to have played as much as he has for Man United. It's it clearly means the absolute world to him, but unfortunately, with regret, Ashley.
Yes, there was a fun piece about him, with him talking about Poogate. And even his kids believe that he got, a bird deposited in his mouth. So, yeah.
But he did not. And I'm fully on board with the story that he did not.
I look, print the story that you want to hear.
Print the legend.
Print the legend. It's, yeah.
What are you, a BBC political journalist?
No, but I don't think we should start on that tonight.
No, bit of satire before the break for you there. Anything else you want?
I mean, that is the entire of the BBC's election coverage. You're right, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I guess that's everything we want to say. Mason Greenwood is brilliant. If it was a 5 things we learned article, I'd be struggling with the other 4. And also we didn't learn the first thing today, but that has never stopped anyone who's done a 5 things we learned article ever. But yeah, Mason Greenwood, brilliant. And it's going to be interesting to see how he gets Premier League football, because the front three is obviously working very effectively at the moment, but he's really, really, really good.
He'll get games. I mean, that front three can't play every game, and frankly, Martial can't stay fit for very long, and Rashford's had a few injuries, not as many, but I mean, certainly injured at the back end of the last season. And Daniel James is in his first season as a Premier League pro. I mean, he's going to need a rest at some point. Because as well as Daniel James has done, young players, first season, the mental and physical fatigue often plays a toll, doesn't it? So,
yeah, very true. All right, brilliant. So after the break, we'll talk Everton.
Enjoying, no question about that. If so, let others know about us. The best way to do that is leave us a review and a rating on iTunes and hit that subscribe button.
So, Everton taking the fully Manchester United seal of approval stamped route of appointing a legendary former striker as their interim manager and getting a massive emotional boost. I watched the Everton goals versus Chelsea, the 3-1 win. Every single one of them featured absolutely abysmal defending from Chelsea. It's amazing what emotion can do.
Yeah. Yes. Duncan Ferguson said today, I think, that he doesn't want the Everton job. So I think he's playing hard to get with the owners. Bill Kenwright, the now former owner, apparently pushing extremely hard for David Moyes to be appointed. I mean, just.
Bill Kenwright's always seemed like an absolutely lovely fella, but my giddy aunt.
One sandwich short of the full picnic, I'd say, yeah. Anyway, the actual owner is apparently much more sensible than that, and not keen on appointing the Moyes again, and looking at bigger and better options like Allegri or Ancelotti. Good luck, Everton, on that one. But so Ferguson will be in charge at the weekend, and I'm sure he'll get this Everton team up for it. I mean, they've had an awful run, haven't they? Smashed by Liverpool, beaten by Leicester. Who did they lose to before that? They'd lost a whole bunch on the trot. Yeah. So, they've got on paper some decent players, but it's just under Silva, it's never been a functional team at all. He's just never been able to create something out of those parts, and they spent money too. They bought Alex Iwobi for a significant amount of money from Arsenal, and Richarlison for a huge amount of money from Watford, and Morgan Schneidlin for far too much from us. and Sigurdsson was like a £50 million buy. So, it's not like, and they do pay good wages. They are one of the higher wage payers in the Premier League. Sort of one of the best of the rest outside of the big clubs, and they've not been getting value for money for that spending.
No, I mean, you say Moshiri is smarter than Bill Kenwright, and that might be the case, but he's actually done a fairly disastrous job in terms of the structures of the club and how effective it's been. They bought this is not an original thought, but they bought a bunch of players who all fit almost exactly the same profile in that first summer that he was there. And there was a real good chat on the Tifo podcast, I think it was, about Idrissa Gana Gueye and how much of an enormous miss he is, or certainly he was for Everton, for Silva's Everton, because the rest of the team are running around pressing, and he was the one that was mopping up all the gaps, and they didn't replace him. Very hard thing to do to replace him, of course, because he's a fine player. The notable tactical thing, of course, about Duncan Ferguson's arrival, beyond the incredible, dangerous levels of #passion, was 4-4-2, which goes well with dangerous levels of passion. He played Richarlison, who has got 6 goals this season. He played Richarlison and Calvert-Lewin up front together to great effect.
To very good effect, to great old-fashioned effect, a kind of little man combination. I mean, Calvert-Lewin's not super little, but he's no Duncan Ferguson.
Who is, though, Ed, apart from Andy Carroll?
Yeah. I mean, except Ferguson was actually a decent striker. So, and anyway, it was effective. They scored some goals. There was some bad Chelsea defending. Chelsea are up and down, sort of down at the moment, which is to be expected, as we know, as we're told frequently. They have a lot of young players in there. The emotional bump of the new manager, Everton at home, they do make a good noise at Goodison and get the team going. We know that over the years, don't we? It's going to be different at Old Trafford, you'd imagine. And I mean, I'd love for Ferguson to set up this team in a 4-4-2 and really go for it, because that's going to suit us. When there's, as we say all the time on this podcast, when there's space and transitions, we're going to be much better than a team that just sits back and defends. So
I've got some bad news for you, Ed. It's been a night for terrible statistics, numbers being really bad news. Here's some really bad news. Everton had 30% possession in that game, so I think they did indeed look to sit back and soak it up on the break and then hit on the counter attack. So might be a bit of a can we break down big dunks, 2 banks of 4. they should just give us 70% possession, because I'm not convinced we would have the first idea what to do with it.
No. And I mean, it's clearly going to be a challenge. We still haven't found that formula. It's not Pereira. It's not Mata. Who's the player who can unlock those defences and who can find a different pattern of play for United? So, and the other thing is, I know we say this every week. The players that United will have in wide areas, I mean, presumably it's going to be Martial and Daniel James, are both going to cut inside all the time. I mean, Daniel James will go on the outside on the right. He would prefer to be on the left and cutting inside, I think. But he's not exactly whip the ball over David Beckham. United don't create a lot of chances from crosses either. So, and I think they're both much more comfortable being sort of inside-out players or outside-in players.
Yeah, I mean, so it'll be Rashford wide left and Martial centre forward, presumably.
Yeah, I presume so, yeah.
And then the thing that you think tactically about the way we set up versus a 4-4-2 is they will be in a position to get overloads on our fullbacks from counter-attacking positions, particularly our left fullback. It's interesting, like I said Young was going to play all confident but Luke Shaw played against City, didn't he? And that's quite the vote of confidence to pick him against City. Obviously, assuming Wan-Bissaka's not injured or anything, he'll be playing at right back.
Yeah, I assume Wan-Bissaka's fine. Hadn't heard of an injury. Good point. Shaw did play versus City. I can't say he was particularly good. I don't know which bad left back I'd prefer to have, Shaw or...
Did Shaw just come on? Shaw, which game was it? It was either City or Tottenham where he came on late. I've got myself... That
was against Tottenham where he got about a minute. Great. And then against City, he started, yeah.
Okay.
And allowed a few players to walk past him, which was somewhat frustrating. We talked about on Monday. I don't know who's going to play at left back. It's not clear to me. You're right, they'll be in a position to create overloads. United should have an extra man in midfield. It depends who that extra man is, of course, and whether it's Lingard, who had an injury, didn't play tonight because of that. Not sure that he'll be back. May be back. Ollie said Paul Pogba won't be back, so won't be him. Could be Pereira.
I've heard Ed that Pogba coming back just causes a problem for United, who are completely fine and have no problems and don't need a brilliant creative midfielder. That's what Mark Ogden told me. I read it in the paper. I did not read it in the paper, just to be clear.
You read it online, yes. It was a very odd... I mean, that was a very odd piece on ESPN. It was one of those ones where you feel like the editor has given him a task of, go make the argument of why Paul Pogba won't get back into the United team. And he's like, oh, fuck.
Hold on. Let me just thank every fibre of the universe that doesn't happen to me anymore. Because, oh my God, it's the worst when you get an argument you don't believe in and have to argue about it in front of people on the internet. It's dreadful.
Yes, so Pogba will walk straight back into this side as soon as he's fit. Although this ankle injury is taking a very long time to heal, which his ankle injuries. People have made a lot of the fact that Pogba's been abroad for part of that time, both in Dubai and Miami. Although he's done it with permission of the club. Some people, and there's quite a lot of these people, are pushing around the conspiracy theory that somehow Pogba was never injured and he's just faking it, which was weird when United put out that photograph of him in a plaster cast. But, hey, I mean, maybe they're part of the conspiracy, folks.
Yeah, the truth is no longer in any way relevant. that's people's relationship with the truth has gone altogether. Anyway, yeah. So this game, I'm going to go with a starting lineup that goes De Gea, Maguire, Lindelof, Wan-Bissaka, Young, because there was something about the way he walked off the pitch. The decision to make him the one they took off at 4-0 up made me think he's going to get the nod. Fred and McTominay. Fred and McTominay together again, joyous. And then I just hope...
It's the new Cleverley and Anderson, isn't it? Dynamic duo.
Yeah, hope beyond hope that Lingard's fit. And then Rashford, Martial and James.
You hope beyond hope that Lingard is fit. Now, there's a statement you don't hear all the time. I mean, he's probably the best of a bad bunch in that position, isn't he?
Yeah, and, there was a little bit of chat on Twitter that we went through the whole lineup against City and didn't really mention Jesse Lingard. I mean, Jesse Lingard did his usual thing of absolutely elite off the ball work and moderate at best on the ball work.
Yeah, he runs around so much that he's never in position to get the ball, is what I figured. Because he made 20 passes in the entire game.
I think that's probably got a lot to do with the shape that, considering Fred made about 15 passes in that game, it's very hard on Jesse Lingard. So, yeah, but the thing is, you'd just much rather have Lingard there than Pereira, who's option number 2. And really, unless barring a Fred-esque miracle turnaround, we kind of know what we think about Pereira's chances of making it at United in a big way.
There you go. Well, that's Everton. The thing about doing these 2 pods a week is we actually have to talk about the opposition. So, it should be an interesting game. There is the Ferguson element to it, which adds some sort of mystery, I guess. Everton have been a bad side this season and completely dysfunctional. And United are on a 12-game unbeaten run or something like that at the moment, and winning games and scoring goals.
You think they've lost
2 in 12? That's it. 2 in 12.
Lost 2 in 12, I think, is the number, or something like that. But yeah,
Astana, so which was perfectly acceptable, and scoring goals and playing well. It's one of those games you look at it and go, this is kind of styles make games and all that. It's one of those ones that could be set up for a difficult afternoon. Let's hope not. If United score early, then it changes the game, of course.
One of the things that, by the way, I'm just looking at who scored to look up a specific piece of information, and they've got the statistical strengths and weaknesses of teams. United are very strong at creating long shot opportunities, which I feel like that just means the lads love a wallop. They love a wallop from a distance. But one of the things we're weak against, apparently, is defending against skillful players. So we're all right if they're rubbish. But anyway, the thing that I was looking up...
who scored? Useful.
Yeah, the thing that I was looking up was the fact that in that 4-4-2, in the centre of midfield were Schneiderlin and Schweinsteiger. No. It's been a long day.
Making a comeback.
Yeah. Schneiderlin, just trips off the tongue one after the other. Schneiderlin and Sigurdsson were together in the centre of midfield. And honestly, we could really have some joy if they go with that as a midfield too, again, especially if McTominay and Fred are continue their good form, because, we know that Schneiderlin is not the best, and Sigurdsson is obviously a fine number 10, but I'm not sure of his overall central midfield qualities unless I'm, really out of date and he's transitioned to be a brilliant box-to-box player now.
No, he hasn't. Which may explain some of Everton's problems this season, yeah. So, it's a good point, yeah. And United will have the extra man. So,
sort of, although it'll be one of the 3 players we least want to be in the side. Anyway, I can't ever say I don't want Jesse Lingard in the side because, loves the club. That means a lot. Anyway, that's quite enough of this. It's now 10:30 at night. We've both, I think it's fair to say, had very long days, as have a lot of people in this country. And we will see you full of hope in our hearts, whatever the outcome of the Reds versus Blues ends up being. And thank you very much to everyone for listening to the show. Ed, do you want to give a quick prediction of the score against Everton?
I think it's going to be a 2-1 win to United.
Nicely optimistic. I am going to go for a back down to earth with a bump 1-1 draw.
Well, either way, we'll be back on Monday.
Yep. See you then with another one of these.
Bye now. And before we go, just a quick word about our Patreon at patreon.com/NQAT pod. If you really like the show, back us there from $1 and up, and you can access some really cool rewards like t-shirts, artwork, and mugs.
much for that.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.